Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard. Today I'm going to be sharing with you what I am experiencing and what I know about how our 3D reality is coming to an end and how we are in an interdimensional revolution which is going to destroy the control of the psychopaths who are running this world. Okay, so actually let me get rid of that and let me replace it with this. Let's replace that little guy with this guy. So, as you can see, I'm in the process of writing a new book again, which I am now going to put up as an audiobook. Once I've published it, I'm still writing it, so don't worry about it. We are in someplace the planet Earth has never been. We are someplace that the human race has never been. Right now, the electromagnetic field around the Earth has diminished significantly. And the result of that is that we have a much greater access to higher dimensional energies. And so this is creating a lot of chaos and intensity on the Earth. So, if you've been feeling over the past, especially, increasingly over the past few months, year, 2 years, if you've been feeling like more like you've been losing your mind or you don't really know what's happening anymore, you don't know what's real anymore, that's because our reality is changing. And three-dimensional reality has served its purpose. It has, however many billions of years the Earth has been here with life on it, however many billions of years that is, we are at the end of it. Three-dimensional reality is now going to shift. So that means everything within three-dimensional reality has to shift up to the next level as well, or it will cease to exist. So it's important to understand that three-dimensional reality has a mental and psychological aspect to it. So, okay, there's a lot of stuff coming into my brain, so it's hard to verbalize sometimes. Okay, so if you are somebody who has the feeling that we live in a world that is a matrix, if you feel trapped in a matrix, if you feel that you are in a world where you are being manipulated and controlled and enslaved by a group of powerful people, and I don't care what word you use, you can call them the Illuminati, you can call them the deep state, you can call them the reptilians if you want to. You can call them, big pharma, big tech. You can call them whatever name you want. But if you have the opinion, if you have the feeling, even if you can't find the proof, but you have this feeling that you are being manipulated and controlled and that your mind is being manipulated and controlled, it's because that is accurate. That is true. It is being done on two levels. The first level is three-dimensional reality is in fact an illusion. It is not real. You are living in a dream. If you want to call it like the Matrix movie, if you want to call it a computer program, go right ahead. It doesn't really matter how you describe it. If you feel like you live in something that's not real, that is true. Three-dimensional reality is a projection. It is a holographic projection. you are a holographic projection into the third dimension. You have put your consciousness into a holographic projection. It is a virtual reality video game for the soul. So you have to understand that just by living, having your consciousness in the third dimension, just by living in a three-dimensional body, you are already under the influence of an illusion. Now, that illusion by itself doesn't necessarily create all of the psychopathic destruction that is going on at the hands of those who are in control of our external world. But what has happened is that three-dimensional reality has reached the end of its usefulness. And so what has happened is that within this three-dimensional reality, there has been, if we liken it to the Matrix, there has been a program that has been created. You know, it's actually, as I'm thinking about it, very much like Agent Smith. A program has been created and has evolved, which is designed to do one of two things. If you choose to stay trapped in the Matrix, it will bring the end of the human race. If, however, you allow this destructive, Agent Smith program, which is what we're calling the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminati, if you allow this program to wake you up to how limited this reality is, then you have an opportunity, just like, again, in the Matrix, at least the first three Matrix, or not even the first three, just the first one. The Matrix movies, after the first one, it just, look, they were selling out and making money. The first one is really the unconscious message we were looking for that came out through that piece of art. So when you're able to be in three-dimensional reality and still have the ability to go past it, then of course the Agent Smith character is no match for you. You will destroy it. So I'm here to tell you that the experience that we have, that the cabal, the deep state, the Illuminati, and they have complete control over the physical aspect of our world. If we continue to tap into our interdimensional reality within ourselves and expand that, just like the Agent Smith character, they will lose complete power. They will cease to exist. So, I am saying that we need to engage in a revolution. A revolution that will destroy everything in the third dimension. So if you feel, when I talk like that if you feel guilty, if you feel as though what I'm saying is like I'm trying to destroy humanity, I understand. I'm not. I'm actually not. I want, if I had the ability to snap my fingers, I would have everybody move up to the fifth dimension. Anyway, but that's not my job, as far as I know. As far as I know, that's not my job. But if we continue to fight against the deep state, which is a manifestation. What I'm trying to say is that the deep state is a manifestation of the third dimension. It's actually the third dimension rising up to keep us from evolving. Now, we've done that because even though the deep state is made up of psychopathic human beings who have unlimited amounts of money and power and influence, and have hijacked everything. They've hijacked the media, they've hijacked education, they've hijacked medicine, they've hijacked government, they've hijacked all forms of communication, technology. They've hijacked everything. And they are, as you know, they're working desperately hard to control everything that you hear and see. You know, there's all kinds of things I wish I could talk about on YouTube, but I can't because there is censorship. I'm not allowed to tell you the truth about things because it goes against the deep state narrative. And YouTube is one of the tentacles of the deep state. So far, right now, what I'm talking about, I can keep talking about. Let's hope I can keep talking like this publicly. But the deep state is a manifestation of the third dimension as it is trying to keep you in the third dimension. Now, you have a physical body and a physical brain that is connected to 3D. You have a 3D brain up here. This isn't your mind. This is not your mind. It is a computer interface. It is hardware. It allows your physical body to take in information through the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ears, the nervous system. It allows you to take in information so your multidimensional soul can experience limited three-dimensional reality. That's all this is. But this brain and this body and this nervous system, left to itself, if it is not connected to higher dimensions, left to itself, it is going to fight to stay in the third dimension. And so that means that your psyche, your thought process, is already pre-wired to keep you here. Now, what ends up happening is that as we wake up to the abuse and the enslavement that our society is putting on us, as we wake up to that, our first instinct is to fight against it. But what you don't realize is that the tools that you are using to fight against the third dimension are three-dimensional tools. So it's a waste of time. So using the interdimensional revolution I'm talking about is a revolution of the spirit and of the mind, the part of your mind that goes beyond 3D. These are the tools that we need to use to break from the hold of 3D and those who are controlling 3D. So I'm here to say that when you become aware that you are being manipulated, controlled, and enslaved in all these different ways, your instinct to fight against those deep state Illuminati psychopaths, your instinct is very normal, but you are going to use 3D tools. Your instinct is to use those. 3D tools are anger, violence, politics, economics, religion, philosophy. These are all 3D tools. So, you know, I mean, we just had a midterm election. I'll keep my mouth shut about that one. And we've got a presidential election coming up in a couple of years. And who the hell knows what's going to happen with that. But for those of you who think that putting somebody else in the president's chair is going to change anything, you're wrong. Even if you are able to find somebody that is independent and trustworthy, politics can't change what's happening. So activism, we are not going to, the interdimensional revolution is not going to make use of people protesting in the streets or revolting or, charging the Capitol. None of those things are going to change anything. Because the moment that you buy into the fear and the anger, The moment that you buy into that, and if you think that going and telling the politicians what's what and who's this and all that, it's meaningless. So we have to understand that 3D reality is a program, and it has now reached the end of its usefulness. And this is the last ditch attempt of the illusion of 3D to try and keep you here. And that is the manifestation of this program. You know, the Illuminati, the deep state, is a manifestation of our unconscious 3D desire to stay in this three-dimensional limited universe. So we have to completely, totally revolt against everything. And what first happened with me, as you know, if you've been watching my channel, in June of this year, I successfully made contact with a higher dimensional being that then made it clear to me that he was going to initiate me into a spiritually shamanic initiation. Which, if you know anything about shamanic initiation, it's a complete destruction of your mental and psychological world, and then it gets put back together again. And one of the first things that happened when I became aware that reality was not what I thought, even though I was a spiritual man, a yogi, qigong master, meditation teacher, even though I was all of those things, my reality was being completely demolished, and I started to understand that time and space was totally different. And then I had a really strange reaction. And if those of you who have done this kind of work before, you'll know what I'm talking about. I had a very strange reaction where I started feeling like I was betraying the human race. And what was really happening was that my mind was beginning to separate from the three-dimensional understanding of reality. And I didn't realize that I thought that, on an unconscious level, I felt like I needed to stay in my 3D mindset. Otherwise, I was a traitor to the human race. And of course, I thought about that, and that didn't make any objective sense, because all that was happening was that I was becoming aware of the nature of our multiverse. And all kinds of, I don't want to get into what was happening to me, but it was really mind-bending. And what was really happening is that karma, there must have been lifetimes of karma that was burned away within a very short period of time. And our karma, so by karma I mean the pain you carry around with you, the sadness, the depression, the feeling of unworthiness, the feeling of loneliness. These are all things associated with your karmic attachment to this earth. And it's a karmic attachment to the karmic attachments of the people around you. And so it is a revolution, and it is a betrayal of sorts, because you are going to reject all of the karmic bonds that keep you seeking love and approval from anything outside of you. That includes your parents, that includes your spouse, that includes your friends, that includes, of course, the deep state, the narrative, society. You are going to have to be willing to disconnect from any of that and stop seeking to be connected to, loved, and appreciated by the third dimension. So in this crisis that we're now in, which is we are on the cusp of a complete evolutionary shift to a higher dimension, everything is going to be destroyed that we understand in 3D. That means everything associated with what we view government to be, destroyed. Nations, destroyed. Money, destroyed. There's not going to be any more money. There's not going to be any more banks. There's not going to be any more armies. There's not going to be any more borders. You're not going to have to worry about keeping your borders intact because there isn't going to be anybody in the world anymore who will be operating from fear, greed, predatory. There won't be any of that stuff. All that stuff is 3D. There's going to be no more prisons. And that assumes that everybody's going to be operating and connected to their eternal soul. That's a big step. That might be difficult to believe in. But if you are able to absorb and expand your understanding and awareness of what space-time is, you will have to revolt against all of the things associated with 3D, and you might go through this feeling of being a, like you're, you're, what's the word I want to use? You're a bad boy, you're a bad girl. You're revolting against, you're betraying the human race. You're a traitor to your species. I remember feeling that. It was a very strange feeling. But that was the turning point when I became aware that this feeling that if I continued to expand my awareness, I would be betraying my people, my race, the human race, my species. When I became aware that that feeling was really about my fear of completely disconnecting from the three-dimensional karmic need to be loved and accepted by my fellow human beings and by my country, my society, etc. When I realized that being completely independent of all of that was really what was at stake, if I continued to expand my awareness, I was going to be a completely independent being. I was going to be free on the deepest levels. So we must understand that if we live in a world that has external limitations, where our freedom is actually being taken from us in an external way, it means that that is a projection of our internal experience. If we are able to change our internal experience, the external experience will rise to meet us. Which means if you revolt, if you rebel against everything in the third dimension, which includes needing to be loved and accepted by family, friends, career, government, school, religion. If you're willing to let go of that, you run the risk of being completely independent and free. Not just in the third dimension, but you will be connected to all the other dimensions. What has happened for me is since that shamanic initiation that I received, I am in continuous contact, psychic, emotional, energetic, telepathic contact with higher dimensions. Not just higher dimensional beings, higher dimensions. That sounds more grandiose than it is. I mean, the truth is I'm a three-dimensional person. I walk around, I do three-dimensional things. It hasn't gotten to the point where I'm no longer physically in a 3D body or mind. It just means that there's like a connection and there's a part of me that is actually not in this dimension anymore. And I won't get into that, but that was the result of that, me connecting with that higher dimensional being. There was a bunch of other things that happened, which I've written about in my most recent book. But you can have this. You can have this. And the end goal of this interdimensional revolution is complete and total freedom, independence within your own spirit. And that is the one thing that the deep state fears the most. The Illuminati, those in control, what they fear the most is that you will become independent. Now, bear in mind, that's not the same as being angry and frustrated and wanting to storm the Capitol. You may think that's what that means. Oh, I'm independent. I'm not buying into what the government is telling me. I'm going to revolt against the government. I'm no longer going to believe what they tell me on mainstream media. I'm independent. That's not what that means. All that means is that you're in an intermediate stage where your definitions are available to be shifted. You're still in 3D, especially if you're angry, afraid, and victimized. You're still in 3D. When you're no longer in 3D, you're not angry, you're not victimized, you're not afraid. Because when you're connected to infinity, you're not afraid anymore. And especially if you connect to higher dimensions, you realize how silly it is to be afraid of even physical death. That becomes a silly thing. Why would you be afraid of that? Don't get me wrong, I have no interest in physically dying anytime soon. So, what we can do, the most powerful thing that we can do, which is absolutely terrifying to the deep state, absolutely terrifying, is for us to make interdimensional contact. And when you make interdimensional contact, if you choose, if it is something that you seek after, you will be able to tap into those energies and you will be able to shift your vibration, where you will be further and further away from that 3D limited, dense mindset. And so this isn't going to happen through legislating it through politics or, deposing a government. It has nothing to do with any of that. When human beings as individuals choose to make contact to other dimensions, the deep state will, of itself, it will wither away and die. It will self-destruct. You won't even have to pay any attention to it. See, this is the thing about narcissists and psychopaths. Narcissists and psychopaths, they are constantly wanting your attention. They will try to gain your attention in the beginning by what people call love bombing, which is they will appeal to your ego and your needs and your wounds, and they will make you feel loved the way a child feels loved by a mother. And so this is why narcissists are so incredibly able to seduce people. They're very seductive because they know exactly how to make you feel loved and seen like you did when you were a kid. Once they have that, once they get you feeling like you are loved and you become attached to them, then what they do is they start abusing you. And so, and then if you leave them, then what they will do is they will chase after you and persecute you. So they don't care whether you love them or hate them, as long as you are giving them your attention. So that's why I'm telling you, to be a part of this interdimensional revolution, forget about politics, forget about religion, forget about activism, forget about showing them who's boss, forget about waking people up. That's all part of the 3D ego nonsense. The thing to do is you yourself seek to have your own spiritual and energetic and psychological empowerment. You can't do that in 3D. 3D will only keep you in 3D. We need to connect to the fifth dimension. And right now, as I said, the Earth is in a position it has not been ever. The electromagnetic field is such that now we can reach out and connect and be able to perceive and experience higher dimensional beings and higher dimensions. What I'm playing around with now, I'm just beginning to learn, but what I'm playing around with now is going out into other dimensions and learning how to change things, learning how to change my reality, my timelines. And so you reach out and connect to higher dimensional beings, and that is really where it starts. That will create an avalanche of transformation on levels you can't even begin to imagine. But then if you continue with that, then on your own you can go and connect just to the power of other dimensions. You can connect to the quantum field itself. And you can begin to understand how all these dimensions come together. But what you will have to give up is you will have to die to your three-dimensional attachments. You will have to die to your karmic three-dimensional attachments, and that will be painful. And you will have whatever experience you had. I had a bunch of them. One of them was this horrible feeling that I was betraying my species. You'll have whatever experience you have, but it very well could be frightening. But the more people that do it, then, those of us who are the first to do it, we feel all alone. But once more people start doing it like popcorn, pop, 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 more people start reaching out to higher dimensions, then we'll be able to connect to each other. And then what'll happen is everything will shift. I mean, that's probably when the solar wave will hit. When it's reached a threshold where enough people are connecting to higher dimensions, then that will create a cascade event which will bring in the fifth dimension into our 3D world. All right, so I don't know if I really said what I wanted to say, but I'm done saying it. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to look at them. This is a question and answer. Write the word question in all caps, and then write your question. A question is, you want to know something that you don't know, but you think I do. Okay? It's not asking me a question to co-sign something, or what do I think of what somebody else said, or that kind of lazy, childish thing. Have a question. I want to know the emotional connection to your question. Ask me something that you don't know that you think I might have the answer to. And then the other thing you can do is share your feelings, your honest feelings. I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm confused, I'm inspired. I don't care what it is. Share your feelings. Because higher dimensions are very intensely emotional. So the more that we're able to connect to our feelings here in the third dimension where it's not safe. 3D is not a safe place to have your feelings. Unless you're angry or frightened or violent. Those are safe feelings. Those are protected feelings. But having vulnerable feelings is not safe in 3D because people can attack you and criticize you. But in higher dimensions, they love connecting to you on your vulnerable feelings. It's an absolute, total, complete flip of what it's like here in 3D. Everything that you're not supposed to do in 3D, they like in the fifth dimension. They love to see you at your most vulnerable. They love to empower you. There's no competition, right? So feel free to share your feelings. All right, I'm talking to give you time to write the questions. That's why I'm babbling. All right, let's take a look and see what we got here. We've got, She's Got Spirit Lounge, says, hello, Mahadeva. She is one of my rune readers. She has a website, grace.thunderwizard.com. She's also a very powerful healer. So check her out, grace.thunderwizard.com. And then, of course, we have Thundra, THUNDRA.thunderwizard.com. She is one of my Vedic astrologers and a shaman in her own right. Go check her out, thundra.thunderwizard.com. And then, of course, we have Vincent.thunderwizard.com, one of my Vedic astrologers, and you can see all the stuff he offers. Go check him out, Vincent.thunderwizard.com. Athamanimist, honest feeling. Everything that you are saying is mind-blowing for me, as it seems to highlight events that I've experienced in the past couple of years. Very intense. Thank you for sharing that. Lance Johnson, question, are past lives a part of 5D? Before I answer that question, I want to know why you're asking it. So understand that if you have a real question means that there's an emotional need that needs to get met inside of you. So I want to know why you want to know that. If I say yes or no, how does that information help you? How does me saying, yes, it is part of 5D, or no, it is not part of 5D, how does that help you become healthier, happier, and more prosperous? Give me more information, because otherwise it bores me. I want more of you to know how I can best help you. I want you to think deeply. I want you to feel deeply. Get used to asking real questions. You're almost there. I just want more. Agent of the Universe, question. I have this feeling in my chest area where it's energetically surrounded by darkness and this icky, heavy feeling, and this has been ongoing. What would you advise to help with this? Well, first off, I don't know what darkness around the heart is. I hear what you say. I don't know what that feels like. It doesn't sound pleasant. And then you say this icky, heavy feeling, and this has been ongoing. Ongoing since when? Since birth? I need more information. But on first glance, what I'm hearing you say is that this is your armor. So the darkness that you feel is your self-protective armor. So if you're able to get past, what's happened is that you've separated yourself from the fear, the pain, and you've created this armor to protect your heart from being hurt. But you've created such an intense wall of protection that you're no longer even aware of the pain and the fear that caused you to create that wall. So my suggestion is, same thing I've always been telling you, Agent of the Universe, continue with your therapy. Continue working with your therapist. Continue doing the 90-day challenge. Those of you who are new to the channel, this is my excuse. This channel is not about you listening to me talk. It's a waste of your time. What you need to be doing is doing the work, the energy work, the practical energy work to shift your energy and to open those portals within your mind, becoming more connected to your emotions. I have a very powerful, I think the most powerful spiritual method to do that. That is up here at thunderwizard.com. Click and subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. Follow the instructions. Click play on the video, do the exercises, and I dare you to come back after those 90 days and tell me that you didn't experience a huge amount of energy and that your life didn't start shifting and all that. I challenge you. That's part of the challenge. I dare you to tell me that you don't have a huge shift. So, Agent of the Universe, keep doing that. Keep doing those two things. Keep staying aware. I think it's great that you're aware of the physical feeling. Is probably, you may not have been aware of that before. I don't know. But if you've just become aware of that relatively recently, like in the past few months or since you've been working with this channel, then that means you're now aware. You can feel the armor that you have protected your heart from. And so be patient with yourself, be loving, work with your therapist, talk about your feelings, talk about your pain, talk about your fear, and learn to do the things I've been telling you to do besides doing the lightning qigong. Do something kind every day for somebody, but don't let them know that you did something for them. Learn how, instead of judging people, to relate to them. When you see somebody doing something that you want to judge, stop and go, okay, have I ever done anything like that? How I want to understand them. I want to have compassion for them. These are the things that are going to break open that armor. And it's not easy. But if you continue to just do a little bit every day, that armor will start to go away, and you'll get more access to all of the love that's in there, and you'll be able to give love and receive more love. All right. Lance, you said, sorry, it was something I channeled. I don't know what that means. Past lives are a part of, what does that mean you channeled it? So look, Lance, welcome to the channel. I'm glad you're here. You have my permission to drop all that pseudo spiritual bullshit. It's not what we do here. This is not a love and light channel where I give you kudos for channeling. It doesn't mean anything. 99% of the time when somebody says they've channeled something, it just means that they don't have the courage to say, I had an experience where I think this was going on. 99% of the time when somebody says they channeled something, it means that it's come from their own unconscious. It's come from their fear, their greed, there's something about them. And in order to justify it, they say, I channeled it. So I give you permission to drop all that bullshit. You can tell me that I had this feeling that maybe past lives are part of 5D and it scared me. You're going to get a lot better response from me if you do that. But most people, when they use the word channel, they use it as a weapon. Happens all the time. They use it as a weapon to not only hide their own fears and their vulnerabilities, their own selfishness. When you want to manipulate somebody, you can say, no, God came to me and he told me that you were supposed to do this. And so if you're not doing it, you're disobeying God. It's that kind of thing. I want you to be more honest with yourself and just be more human about it. So I don't know what that means. You say you're afraid of past lives being part of 5D. Why does the idea of past lives being part of 5D, why does that frighten you? And why are past lives being part of 5D any different from being part of 3D? As I'm sitting here talking, I think you have a misunderstanding of what the fifth dimension is. So if I take your question, are past lives a part of 5D, that frightens me. If I follow that, it sounds like you're afraid that if you go to 5D, that you're going to now be burdened with the karma of your past lives. So, Lance, you're afraid of experiencing your past life karma. Right? All right, let's see what else. Vincent.thunderwizard.com, honest feeling. I'm extremely thankful to be feeling healthy and lively this evening. I'm grateful to be fully recovered from that nasty virus. I'm glad that you are free from that as well. Yeah, it's just a new version of the flu. Okay, JZ293. Are you new to the channel? If you're not, then shame on you. What is it that I want you to do so that I actually see your question? Don't be so wrapped up in your own narcissism that I just assume. No, I can't see anything unless you put this question in all caps. Look above you. You can see Agent of the Universe. He's got question in all caps. He does that so that I'll see his question. So you want me to see your question? That's what I need you to do. You say, I feel really desperate to shift to 5D these days, like I am emotional about the shifting. Is that normal? I don't know. Who cares if it's normal? It's how you feel. Why does your feeling have to be normal? Why is a feeling normal or abnormal? It's how you feel, so who cares? This is, part of 5D is loving yourself completely exactly as you are. There's that tapping phrase, the people who do the tapping. Even though I have this feeling, I thoroughly and completely accept myself. It's the most powerful affirmation in history. I recommend everybody get used to saying it. So you feel desperate to shift to 5D these days. So I understand that. So you can say, even though I have this feeling, I thoroughly and completely accept myself. Now, here comes the second part. JZ293, are you new to my channel? If so, that means you're not doing the energy work. And as I just got through saying, this channel is not about listening to me talk. It's about doing the work. So if you do the work, if you go up here to the 90-day challenge, the lightning qigong, and you subscribe and do the work, that desperation to shift to 5D will ease. You know why? Because you will begin connecting to higher dimensions. You can also just do you can go on to the thunderwizard.com YouTube channel page and look on the playlists. Start doing any of the energy exercises. I'll give you two. These are the two basic ones that if you do this, you can start feeling energy right away. It's the cool breath and the awakening the immortals qigong. Do that every day for at least, between 10 minutes or a half an hour, every single day. The reason why you feel desperate to shift is because you are feeling the effects of 3D. So the way to do that is you don't need 5D to come all at once right now. You can change it and start shifting into 5D now yourself, even if the rest of the world is in 3D. And then you won't feel so desperate anymore. So that's my suggestion to you. Go do those two things I just put down there for you. If you really want to, get right to it and not waste any time, subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. That's the most powerful thing I can offer you. Josh Hickson, honest feeling. I'm sad but hopeful. I'm thankful to be here. I'm nervous about my future. I miss getting high on weed since I got sober 2 weeks ago. A lot. I am happy, but I'm more sad than silly. So Josh Hickson, are you going to Marijuana Anonymous? And if not, why not? The 12 steps are the most powerful way to shift and change the neurons of the brain. You especially, because you left a comment and you shared a lot about yourself. You need to be talking with somebody. You need to be talking to a therapist. If you're not talking to a therapist, you need to be talking to a sponsor. You need to be talking with somebody. You cannot do this on your own. Congratulations that you've gone 2 weeks without weed. But if you don't do something about it, very likely you won't last. I don't wish anything negative on you. That's just the facts of the matter. So, start doing the energy practices. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you don't want to subscribe, do the exercises I just put down. Get your ass to a Marijuana Anonymous meeting. Raise your hand. Get a sponsor and work the 12 steps. Don't just go to meetings. Work the 12 steps. If you respect me, listen to what I've just told you. Everything inside of you in your head is telling you don't need to do that. I know. I know that's what's going on in your head. But you will prove to me that you respect me if you do that. Now, if you come back here and I ask you, have you gone to a Marijuana Anonymous meeting? Do you have a sponsor? Are you working the steps? And if you say no, I'm not going to talk to you anymore, because then I'll know that you're not serious. All right? I know I'm being harsh with you, but you are a serious case, my friend. You need help. And if you don't get help, you're going to be in some serious pain. As you get older, you're a young guy. You're right in the midst of it. And if you don't get some help, you're looking for some serious pain down the road. That's my suggestion to you. Take it or leave it. I wish you all the best. Anthony, that's not a question. Okay, thank you. Um, all right, that's it. No more questions. We done? All right, so go to, I'll write it down here. I'm still impatiently waiting for Amazon to approve my audiobooks. I've now, uploaded a bunch of audiobooks, but you can still get the print versions of them. And so to see all of my books, including very soon this one, Interdimensional Revolution, I'm still writing it, so who knows, might be weeks before I get it up. I tend to crank out books pretty fast. So, sorry, let me get rid of some spam here. Okay, got rid of the spam. But if you want to get access to my books, by the way, the Happiness book, which was one of my first books, whoops, that's not what I want to do. Okay, you can go here at michaelwilliamdenny.com, and that will get you access to all of my books, and at some point my audiobooks when they're approved. The book that was the second book that I wrote, Happiness, and it was actually really good. It was if you've read The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life, and it was helpful for you, read that book. It's just called Happiness, and you'll see where I got a lot of the things that ended up in the Shamanic Secret Commandment book. But there's some stuff in that book which is also really good, and there's some exercises in there, some really good exercises. I hadn't looked at it in like 10 years, so I just remember writing it and nothing happened with it, but I recommend it, so go check it out. All right, let's see. Some stuff came up before. Let's see. Vincent.thunderwizard.com. Honest feeling. I'm feeling lonely. I hate the holidays. Sure, family's around, but it feels emotionally hollow. Yeah, I know, because it reminds you. This is the thing about the holidays. It reminds you of if there's emptiness in your family connection. They could be sitting right there. It just reminds you how empty it is. It used to be so hard for me. I would go out and I'd see families and they were so happy with each other, and I'd get very sad. I'd go, that's what's supposed to happen in the holidays. You're supposed to feel like that with your family, and I don't feel that way. So I understand, Vincent, where you're coming from. Holidays used to be a real problem for me. They're not anymore. They're just another day. But part of the reason for that, besides having lived alone for so many years, part of the reason for that is that this work that I'm sharing with you guys, especially this transdimensional work, interdimensional work, has given me a feeling of connectedness with myself to the point where I don't need other people as much. I have nothing against hanging out with people, but I'm perfectly fine just being with me because I'm connected to myself, I'm connected to the universe. And so that's the end result coming for you. I know, Vincent, you're doing a lot of the work that I've mentioned already. So it's coming for you, and your feelings are very normal. I'm glad you're having the bravery to talk about it. Okay, no other questions have come up, so we're done. Thank you, my friends. I wish you all the best. Again, do the work. I'm talking to every single one of you who are just listening to me talk and you're not doing the work. You are shooting yourself in the foot. If you really want to change, subscribe to the Lightning Qigong. If really you can't afford what it would cost to buy a Starbucks coffee every couple of days, if you can't afford that little amount of money, seriously, you're that pathetically poor, well, then do the free stuff that I've given you. But do something. Because in order to survive this shift, we're going to need to shift our energy up to the next level. And you're not going to find anything more powerful even than the free stuff that I offer you. So I offer that to you, and I strongly suggest you do the work. And then again, I give you the challenge. Come back and tell me that it didn't do anything for you. Nobody's done that yet. All right, I'm all done. That's it. I wish you guys all the best. I shall see you all very soon.